Hey everybody, welcome back to Fantasy Endgame Mock Draft Live. Unless you're watching this on delay, in which case it's not, but you probably already know that. But we're drafting with you, our community, and this is just one of the things we do with our community. All off season, we've been doing mock drafts. There's a lot of ways you can get involved with the Fantasy Endgame. So let me direct your attention to the screen over there where it says flockfantasy.com/endgame. If you want more than just videos, you get access to join us in a real, actual Dynasty League. And we actually tell you how you can beat us in Dynasty first. You can watch the video course, Building Champions, how to win in Dynasty. Take it from us. We have years of experience, won a few leagues ourselves. And so you get a chance to not only learn our tips and tricks, but then put it into practice with us and against us and some of our awesome community members. So still a couple of spots left in league number 2. We already got one that has drafted. So you get that. Oh, you get a chance to win cash prizes too, by the way. Free endgame swag. Who doesn't want that? And everything else that goes with it. Our subscription here, rankings, articles, bonus videos that you don't get on this YouTube channel. So check it out after this draft is over, flockfantasy.com/endgame. Now, this is normally a time where I say we're about to drop the link. You can join the draft with us, but just like last night, only a couple of spots left. Right now, we're what, 3 spots open?
3 spots open. So, I mean, that's one better than last night. And I'm not going to click Clayton. I'm not going to kick Clayton tonight. I learned my lesson. My bad, Clayton.
Yeah, we'll let Clayton. We'll let him stay, but he has to promise not to snipe. He's not even near us. So okay. We'll let Clayton stay. We got a couple of spots left now. Again, that's another thing that if you are a subscriber, you get access to this link for each mock draft that we do live online. You get to join nice and early like everybody else here did. So something else to consider. But we have 3 spots to fill, so let's do it. We got 1 quarterback, 2 running back, 2 receiver, 1 tight end, 1 flex. See how this differs from last night.
Yep. All right. Here comes the link.
We go. And we got some new viewers too. Lee, welcome, Lee.
Welcome, Lee.
Appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, and there we go. That was quick. We got fantasy sleep. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Feener. I'm gonna have to kick you.
And yeah, Clayton, join the Dynasty League if you're in the flock. Look, you don't have to be intimidated by Dynasty. It's just regular fantasy football, except it lasts forever or until you quit the league.
All right, Andrea gets in over Feener. Sorry, man, but every draft you come in, you do like 3 or 4 rounds, and then you bail. We need people who are going to draft here, so sorry, man.
Yeah, got to be done. Only serious drafters here.
Yes, and we do have – I don't think we've ever had Fabulous unless Fabulous is an alias, but I don't think so.
That's not one I recognize. So, well, we'll see how it goes. All right, and as some people found out, I believe user number 6, who is now the slightly different handle, but I'm sure it's still Sean, has found out receivers usually go off the board early. But you know what, Sean, this is only a 2 receiver must start draft, so might be a little different tonight. We'll see how it goes.
All right, Fabulous saying he's been here once. My bad. I don't remember. Maybe it was a night just Pierre drafted. I don't know. But welcome back. All right, let's do this. Let's do this draft. Yeah, tonight I think we're going to see, well, you never know. Yes, only serious drafters here. I think we may not see the wide receivers go off quite so fast tonight with only the 2 wide receiver format. We will see.
Starting off is Tris, the DOB league, some great competitive leagues, by the way, very competitive, not just football, but baseball. So going with Jamar Chase first.
Wow.
Very nice.
We got 2 running backs in the first 4.
He says that, but I think every single draft Clayton does, he just changes it up. So I don't even know what would be changing it up for you. Yeah, Bijan did go over.
I mean, sometimes you might want to change it up, but sometimes you might just want to take the value that falls to you at the 4 or 5 at the 5.
Can't go wrong with that pick.
We're definitely seeing running backs earlier tonight. This format definitely changes things. Sean, even JT in the first. Sean, even after last night, still going running back early. And man, now I get Cooper Kupp at the 8. Thank you.
That's insane value. I think that I don't even remember the last time we had more running backs taken than receivers this late in the draft. And by late, I say for 7 picks, but still, that doesn't happen. All right,
it's getting that time of year, like you said last night. It's people are like, when push comes to shove, they gotta click that RB button. You just can't not have a running back.
Well, with those first 4 guys off the board, it's easy for me to not take a running back here. I can take Diggs.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, you're getting Diggs at the 11. That's pretty nice. Pretty nice.
And just to preemptively answer whoever's going to ask, are we worried about Stephon Diggs? No, not worried. Like he's just he's an elite diva wide receiver. He wants to have everything go his way. He's not leaving Buffalo. They're not signing DeAndre Hopkins. He's fine. He doesn't hate Josh Allen.
I wish I would sign DeAndre Hopkins because I need to trade him away in a Dynasty league. And it's going to be hard to do it.
Funny. Did you see that post today? I don't think someone put it in the Discord of how you forget these things, but it's true. Tennessee, it's like the place where veteran, like Hall of Fame caliber receivers go to die. Like it's like put out to pasture. Because I forgot. Did you even remember that Randy Moss spent a season there at the end of his career, and then Andre Johnson?
I did not remember that.
Andre Johnson, of course, Julio Jones. We remember that.
Yeah, Tennessee would be a terrible spot for DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, I guess he'd probably be okay because, like, he'd just become a floor play, right? Like that's it. He's just a floor, like nothing more, no ceiling at all.
I can't get. I can't get in the mindset where I really am targeting Hopkins because I don't really see any scenario where he's a guy I feel like is going to have a huge season. Arizona was a good situation for him. Houston, of course, was great. Tennessee, forget it. New England, forget it. And he's holding it like he wants to go to the Chiefs, right? That's what he's holding out for. He's hoping that. But if so, and I've said this so many times, he's not going to be a target hog in Kansas City. That's exactly what they don't do. They don't just target one guy. And you say, well, Tyreek Hill's different. Tyreek Hill didn't get by on huge target volume. He got by on the fact that he could make a 70-yard touchdown on any given play. So, yeah, Hopkins is not that type of receiver. So, I don't know. There's really no landing spot that makes me think, oh, now I want DeAndre Hopkins.
I think if he went to the Chiefs, I'd have to do it. I mean, I'm not going to prop him up and take him as a crazy high wide receiver. Because again, we're talking about a 31-year-old wide receiver who probably almost certainly we've seen the best DeAndre Hopkins we'll ever see. Not last year, but we will never see. We've already seen it, right? We've already seen it. But at KC, I mean, he's got at KC would be a significantly better than Tennessee, miles better than Tennessee.
Well, yeah. I mean, that would be the only spot that you would, out of the actual realistic potential spots where, you could say maybe he's worth his ADP. But what I'm going to say is that if he goes to KC, everyone's going to be all over, oh, he's a Chief, just like all the running backs, and he's going to get way overdrafted. So I'm never going to really.
Well, I'm hoping he goes to KC so I can get somebody's first round pick in Dynasty. That's what I'm looking for.
Oh, there you go. And this is the other take, of course. Then, you know, the whole Kadarius Toney is wide receiver 1. Well, that goes out the window.
Let's go!
I mean, I would still draft Kelsey. Obviously, if Hopkins goes there, it hurts. Probably hurts Sky Moore to a degree, hurts Toney to a degree. I would still be okay with Kelsey.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to affect Kelsey.
Wow, Devonta Smith in the 3rd round. That's
so. Yeah, I mean, we had a nice wide receiver run here. I don't think running backs were flying off the board too much. We'll see what happens now. It is up to Bartermania.
what's up, Bartomania?
Keith, I figure you want him in New England, right?
Walmart Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think about this take? If Hopkins goes to KC, does that push Kelsey out of the 1st round?
I don't think so, because I mean, even when they had Tyreek Hill, Kelsey was still a monster. I think he'll still be, you know, he'll still get a massive target share.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I don't think it affects the way I view Kelsey pretty much at all.
Man, there's a lot of ways I could go here.
Normally, this might be a no-brain, take a receiver, right? But
I don't know. There's running backs I like, but look at my flex.
all right, we're moving quick.
I did consider Andrews there. Considered Andrews.
Trying to think. What is? I'll get my guy. I like Najee too much. I think Andrea might take the player that I'm hoping comes back to me because I think she's taken him before, but we'll see. Taking a chance. Okay, that's not the guy.
I may regret passing on running back there. We may be going full 0 RB.
Answer this, Mason. Is Sleeper the best platform? For us, it is. That's where we always play. That's why we do not just for the live drafts, but Dynasty is the best. I don't know that I've ever played on the NFL's platform.
Yeah, I think I played on NFL Fantasy once a long time ago. I didn't think it was anything special. Maybe it's gotten better. The only other one I really like is Yahoo. Yahoo not as good for – I don't even know if they do Dynasty leagues on Yahoo or not. I only do redraft on Yahoo. I think Yahoo's great for redraft. It's like the iPhone of redraft leagues. You should be able to figure it out within like minutes. You should be able to figure out everything. I will say my one complaint with Sleeper, even though I think it's really good, is when it comes to the waiver wire, they always just default to showing you like who the trending players are. But sometimes you just want like what I think is really smart. I don't think a lot of people do it. Is what I like to do is I go into the waiver wire and I sort by how much the players are rostered across all leagues on that platform, because you never know who might be still out there on the waiver wire, and there might be that trendy wide receiver who just had 2 touchdowns, but on the waiver wire there's that solid wide receiver who you can start every week and he's still sitting out there for some reason. The Sleeper is they're waiver wire is a little weird, but I mean, I've got it figured out now. But when I first started playing Sleeper, I definitely like struggled with the waiver wire. Whereas Yahoo is like the easiest. Like I said, it's like the iPhone of fan. It's like so easy. It's so intuitive. You don't even have to think.
Yeah, I do think Yahoo is still kind of the best overall. It hasn't really changed that much over the past 20 years. Just they keep adding some more features, and it's good. And I love, especially now, like you were saying, they have transaction trends, which for me, especially in baseball, there's so many more players you have to think about, and just so hard to search if you're in a deep or competitive league. It shows you most recent. Most added. You can search by ads. You can search by roster percentage. You can search, for the today and yesterday, kind of those trends. Who's everybody else picking up, and it goes pretty deep. So that's nice, because you don't have to do all the legwork yourself. So yeah, Yahoo is, and they do have keeper and dynasty formats.
Yeah, I've never. I don't know. I can't imagine they're very good, but maybe they are. But I do like Yahoo a lot for reasons.
Yeah, this is a good way to say it. Easiest. Yeah. I mean, look, you don't want it to be too complicated, because there are sites like My Fantasy League, right? MFL. Oh. Like, just forget it. Like, you need an instruction manual just to forget. Like, I've played on it for years, and still I'm like, okay, how do I see my draft board? And I have to like go through the menus and I have to look for it. Like, it shouldn't be that complicated. No. It really doesn't need to be.
Yeah, it's no. MFL is cool if you want to do a very like for the fishbowl. Do they still use MFL?
Well, they now this year are using Sleeper also. So they split. Okay. It's MFL or Sleeper. And I don't know why anybody would choose MFL. I guess just because they're used to it. But yeah, I'm doing mine on Sleeper.
Well, one nice thing about MFL is it's extremely customizable. Like if you want to have all kinds of, interesting scoring and different scoring for different positions, and MFL will do it. But yeah, it's like the Linux. How do you pronounce it? It's like the Linux or the Linux of fantasy football leagues. Like, you gotta know what you're doing to play on there. Like, I don't mean like you gotta know like the players. I mean you gotta like know the app or know the website to play on there. Like, you can't just pick it up and figure it out. It's like, wait, what?
Yeah, that's the only reason. If you really want to have, all these options and customize it, super customizable, but still, it's too complicated. Yeah. I'll go back to this. We were on KC and we're talking about formats, but I think this is worth addressing because, every year there's a different KC running back, and everyone's all in a Pacheco this year, which means it's probably not going to be the guy. And he has, what is it, shoulder and a chest injury, some sort of injury. There's an opening. I'm just saying, there's an opening.
I mean, with the Chiefs, there's always an opening. I mean, but I don't know. Like, we're talking about a guy who had 5 touchdowns in college. I mean, he's big, right? But look, I think people don't realize how big Pacheco is either. Pacheco's a pretty big dude, actually. He's not a little guy. It seems like he's little. Like, for some reason, he seems little, but he's actually pretty big. So I don't know. Is a running back who had 5 touchdowns in college going to be the goal line back? Maybe. The Chiefs don't even have a goal. You know who their goal line back is? It's Patrick Mahomes throwing the ball. They don't have a goal line back. It's like, no, we're giving Patrick Mahomes 3 chances to score here.
It's Pat Mahomes doing this to like the 3rd string tight end, or like throwing it, up to an offensive lineman. So their goal line, that's not the thing. You can't count on touchdowns anyways. Like, could Prince be one of their leading rushers? Sure. So I will say this: I'm not completely out on Pacheco, but I'd rather have all the other running backs who are pretty much around his range. And I don't mind taking a last round swing on Prince instead. So I'm not running out to add him in dynasty leagues or anything, but we see this all the time. Like, we know what teams do. We know which teams want to give one running back all the carries, right? We know which teams don't care who the running back is, and they'll just give whoever's out there, the teams like that. So Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens, but that's the thing with KC. Everybody thinks they know who the guys are going to be, and that's never who you expect.
It's just Mahomes. Mahomes and Kelsey. Everything else is a crapshoot.
Yeah. All right, let's see where we're at. Hopkins win at the 410.
Wow, that's surprising, especially, I mean, look, I'm not super high on Debo, but, I mean, man, that's good value on Debo.
Yeah, I think a little earlier for running back so far. Not too bad, but Kenneth Walker's one of those guys. We see huge fluctuations. I think wasn't last night he got taken to like 512 or something, and tonight's the 4-6. We'll see some, and Dobbins is usually a 5th rounder. Brees Hall, 4th round.
Yeah.
Late 4th.
Talking up Dobbins too much.
All right, there goes Aaron Jones. Okay, so remember what you said last night to Ronnie about staying committed. Are you going to fully commit, even though you've already got both your receivers and your flex?
I mean, it's hard to go full 7 or 6 rounds of 0 RB in this form. This is not really the format that wants a 0 RB draft. But I will hold off on running back for one more round here. I know most people probably take Kittle here, but I'm going with Pitts. I'll go with Pitts.
Good move.
And now we'll see if I have a decent running back fall back to me or not.
Don't you love when you click the button to add someone to your queue and then he gets taken the same instant? Yeah.
I don't ever get to add people to my queue.
Well, no, not on these drafts. You don't.
Because if I do, everybody sees who's in my queue.
Yeah.
What I need to do is add the players I don't want to my queue. And then just draft the players that aren't in my queue.
That could work. All right, I'll just build depth here. Because I don't think she's going to take another 3rd running back before I get in.
The interesting thing here is last night in a 3 wide receiver league, you elected to wait forever for your 4th wide receiver. Tonight in a 2 wide receiver league, you got 4 already.
Overcompensation.
Yeah.
One day I'll get it right. Well, look, I'm going to take a running back here. I got 2 in mind. And like I said, I know the team ahead of me already has 2 running backs. Like she might take one, and there it is. All right. Thank you. I'll just get my guy here. I don't feel like it's too early.
Cam Akers is who I was going to take with my Pitts pick. Now Rachaad White gone. All right.
You can never wait too long.
Man, I'm gonna end up with like Joe Mixon, aren't I? Sixth round James Conner. That's where we're at.
You're coming around on James Conner, and he's one of those guys. I feel like he's like one of those pendulum guys where there was one year, a couple years ago, you were like all in on him, and then the next year you're like, I'm not touching him. He's like, nothing, no matter what, I'm not touching him. And then now I'm gonna say all in, but you're definitely in.
Well, yeah, it's pretty. So 2 years ago was the first year he was with Arizona, and he came off a terrible year in Pittsburgh. And he was going in like the 9th, 10th round of drafts. And I said, this is a steal for him. He could be the lead back here. Like everybody loved Chase Edmonds that year. I remember everybody loved Chase Edmonds. And then he was awesome. He was like the RB5 or RB6 that year. Well, then of course, and everybody said like, no, he's terrible. He averaged like 3.5 yards per carry in Pittsburgh. He's bad. Then of course the next year, what does everybody do? Now he's awesome. Now the same guy who was awful last year is now awesome because he finishes the RB6. Said he was going in like the 3rd round last year, and I'm like, whoa, you guys are crazy taking James Conner in the 3rd round. And he was good last year, but he wasn't worth the 3rd round pick, of course. But now, I mean, obviously 6th round in our drafts, but I mean, now in most drafts, he's back to around like the 8th round or whatever it is, like outside the top 80 picks usually. So for me, I'm like, workhorse running back on the Cardinals, which Kyler Murray today, by the way, said he plans on playing week 1. It might not be week 1, but I'll bet you it's going to be within the first month. He's going to be out there. He is going to be out there. And James Conner's a workhorse. So I don't love James Conner. I don't think James Conner is going to be top 5 this year, but
Come on.
what am I going to do at this point? Like, who's left?
Well, that's the thing. We know he's a good back. He's been a good back for years. Maybe he's not going to be, peak performer of his career. Not going to have a breakout season. And my worry is Arizona is going to be just horrible in offense. But he's going to get the ball. There's no competition. Honestly, I don't know who their backup running back is. I know
Keontae Ingram.
Keontae Ingram, are they keeping him? Because he had a shot last year and he did nothing. I mean, he really did nothing. Is he still the backup?
I guess. I mean, they don't really have anybody else, do they?
That's the thing. I don't know. He's going to get the volume. So right there, that makes it worth it.
And somehow, even though it feels like James Conner's been in the league forever, he still hasn't reached that 1,200 touch mark, which is every running back. Like I've been talking, like I started doing this research last year. Every running back that was over the 1,200 touch mark going into last year, and we're talking about good running backs like Alvin Kamara, Joe Mixon, Dalvin Cook, even Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry was way over 1,200, but every running back that entered last year over the 1,200 touch mark got worse in terms of points per games. Every single one of them, their points per game went down, some by like 4 or 5 points. He's not at that mark yet somehow, even though it feels like he's been in the league forever. He's still under 1,200. So
because he's been injured so much. Well, no,
that's true. That is true.
But it's still different. He's he's not that old. He's not that worn down yet. I think this year he'll be solid. Like I got no problem with him. Now this, I will say, you have to look at this Cardinals off. They're going to be bad this year for a different reason. Like last year and the year before, it's just because of bad coaching. I mean, it's pretty obvious Kingsbury was in over his head. He had all that talent on offense, and they couldn't figure it out. This year, the team isn't going to be like throwing in the towel. They're not going to have a disgruntled DeAndre Hopkins. You got to think that the new coach, Steichen, they'll get Kyler Murray with the program, right? I think there'll be a little less COD and a little more playbook in his future. So it won't be the same. They'll be bad just because they probably want to be bad so they can get a better pick because they have such, great draft capital anyways. I don't think they're going to be sitting out all their players at the end of the season necessarily.
No, and I think this whole like tank for Caleb thing, it makes no sense to me. Like Kyler Murray, it's not like Kyler Murray's coming up to the end of his contract. He's getting paid top 5 QB money, which is it's not just easy to trade a QB getting top 5 QB money. It's not like, hey, everybody who wants them, like, you know what I mean? Like, not easy to trade. They already have him under contract. Like, they're going to be bad because like they were last year because their defense is awful. And it's going to be even worse this year. It's going to be even worse. They're going to be bad because but the thing is, for fantasy, they're not going to be bad. Because when you're getting, like the Vikings last year, when your defense is giving up a lot of points, you know what your offense has to do? Score a lot of points. Throw the ball a lot. And, like, maybe the ACL affects Kyler Murray's running, but he's a good thrower. Like a 67% career completion percentage. He's a good thrower. He's gonna be throwing it like 40 times a game because gonna have to. Because their defense isn't gonna stop anybody. So they're gonna be bad in real life, yes. They're not going to have to sit players to try to tank. They'll probably just be bad enough to tank. They also have Houston's pick, which could be a top 5 pick next year as well. So it's not like they have to tank.
Right.
I really think like we're gonna start, like, people are gonna come around on this. I'm telling you, Joe Burrow, week 11 was out there week 1. Robert Griffin was out there week 1. I mean, I know Robert Griffin was bad, but Robert Griffin's not the thrower Kyler Murray is. We've seen many quarterbacks tear their ACL and be out there week 1. I think Kyler Murray is going to be out there week 1. He had a clean ACL tear, no other tendons, no other ligaments. It's a 9-month recovery, puts him right on track for week 1. I think we see him out there week 1, at least within the first 3 or 4 weeks. I think we see Kyler Murray. And then we see him the rest of the season, barring injury. That's what I really think.
So, and here's my thought process, and I say this sometimes with certain teams. There's some offenses. Well, there's a lot of offenses that have very different first half to second half output. Think of the Bears last year. That's a pretty good example. Or Justin Fields specifically. So I think the Cardinals are one of those teams where I really don't want to draft too many of their players, but I'll wait till the first 3-4 weeks are over and they're like 0-4 and those guys are disappointing you. And then you buy low and then they start to figure it out because this new offense comes together and Kyler Murray is a little bit healthier, right? And they figure it out because probably the beginning of the season, they're not going to look good. But that's when you go in and you say, okay, I will take a chance on some of these guys because I know it'll get better. So that's my mindset, teams, especially teams with rookie quarterbacks, right? Houston, probably going to start out pretty bad and look like the worst team in the NFL. But you would think and you would hope that Stroud would figure it out as he gets more experience, again, another new system here. Houston every year has a new coach. So it's like, you don't have to just say, I'm going to be out on them completely all year. No, you don't want to draft high on those guys. And yeah, they probably will still be one of the worst teams record-wise when it's all said and done. But by mid-season, they'll probably have some fancy relevant players. So you have to think that way. You can't just say, okay, here's who I'm drafting, and this is what's going to happen. If you're not active on the waivers and on trade market, it doesn't matter. You're not going to win anyways. You have to draft an immaculate team, and it's probably not going to happen.
Yeah. And we've seen plenty of bad teams have good fantasy producers. So there's certainly, times to worry about a bad offense. But again, I don't think they're going to have a bad offense. I just think they're going to be a bad team because they're going to have a bottom. I mean, they already had like a bottom 3 defense last year, and now JJ Watt is gone, and Budda Baker, it sounds like he doesn't even want to play. So, you know what I mean? They might have the worst defense in the NFL this year. Like legit, they might have the worst defense in the entire NFL this year. So when, it's one thing to be like, to say, like, I remember back in the day, people wanted the Jaguars players with Blake Bortles because, in the fourth quarter, they're down by so much they have to throw. But it's like, yeah, but you're talking about Blake Bortles. Like, like that. But it's another thing when you have like a good QB like Kirk Cousins and the defense is really bad, because then you are excited when he has to throw it like 35, 40 times because he can get it to his wide receivers. He can put up, fantasy points. So I think that's going to be the Cardinals this year. Like you said, I mean, it might start slow. Kyler Murray probably not going to be at his best early in the year coming off ACL. But like you said, I think as the season goes on, like they're not going to bench Kyler Murray. Like if he gets injured, sure, but they're not going to bench him. They're paying the guy $50 million a year or whatever it is.
Yeah, it's funny. I looked it up. I was curious. And I'm thinking, okay, well, schedule has a lot to do with this. So I kind of threw out 0-4. So week 1, it looks like the Cardinals play the Commanders. All right, they could win that one.
Probably not.
But then they play the Giants, the Cowboys, the 49ers, and the Bengals. I mean, we could see a 4-game losing streak there. Those are definitely some tough teams.
Yeah.
Playoff teams.
No, they're going to lose a lot of games. They're going to lose a lot of games this year. No doubt about it.
Yeah. But in the end, it doesn't necessarily matter what the team record is. You're just looking for value on players. So I think this is a good take by Lee. Connor, at his current ADP, the volume he'll get, it's worth it. If he's going where he's going now, definitely worth it. Look, Rachaad White going right next to him. Tampa Bay maybe won't be as bad as Arizona, but they're not going to be a playoff team. And that offense, who knows?
That offense might be worse than Arizona's because, I mean, would you rather have a Kyler Murray who has to stay in the pocket and throw, or any version of Baker Mayfield?
I'll take no version of Baker Mayfield.
Like, really? Like, what version of Baker Mayfield are we hoping for? Like, his best game last year was when he like threw 3 little dinky touchdowns to Tyler Higbee after Russell Wilson threw like 3 interceptions inside their own 20. He didn't even have to like drive them anywhere. Like that was his best game, right? I'd rather have I'd rather have pocket passer Kyler Murray than any version of Baker Mayfield.
That's for sure. Yeah, Rye Raps had asked us a while ago, what do you think about Christian Watson? So I took Watson early round 4. I mean, I think he could be taken sooner. Usually we see him by the end of round 3, but of course this was not a 3 receiver format. I mean, I'm fine with him as my number 2 receiver even.
Yeah, I like Watson. I liked him more earlier in the year or in the offseason. But now, I think with Jordan Love, but also the fact that they drafted another wide receiver relatively early who I like, who's a good wide receiver. I'm not quite as high on him as I was earlier in the year. I still like him. He's got that boom potential, which I love. If he's your wide receiver 2 or wide receiver 3, having that guy who can win you weeks is fantastic. So I like him still, just not quite as much as I did earlier in the offseason when there was a chance that maybe Aaron Rodgers would be back and it was basically him and Romeo Doubs, and that was it. They also drafted 2 tight ends, like pass-catching tight ends. So it feels like, okay, maybe it's not – the situation is not quite as good for Watson as it was earlier in the offseason, but I still like him.
Yeah, and, I'm not completely buying into the whole Romeo Doubs as the top guy there. He might wind up being it, but it doesn't mean he'll be the best fantasy producer. Christian Watson doesn't need a ton of targets. So yeah. I'll take that weekly ceiling, Yeah, he's going to be volatile, but, how many receivers aren't? And running backs definitely dried up.
Yeah, definitely not as wide receiver heavy tonight, to be expected based on the settings. I want to throw this one up from Royland. Who is your favorite bad offense? I mean, this is no brainer for me. It's the Falcons. I got Bijan as the RB1. I got London as a second-year breakout wide receiver. I got Pitts as a monster tight end. I might be way too high on the Falcons this year. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, they might not be a bad offense this year if you'll think about it. Yeah, I'm definitely in on Atlanta too. As far as bad, it depends how you define bad. It depends how bad. I find myself taking, Houston players semi-frequently. Maybe I'm just a sucker. I keep thinking that they'll somehow figure it out. I like Stroud. I like Pierce. I think is being undervalued. They've got receivers with talent. Just kind of needs to come together. So let's see if it's different this year.
Yeah, I just took another Falcon with Tyler Algier.
All right, so you went Algier. Well,
I like Algier still. I mean, I like him as a late round running back, of course. Well, number one, please, fantasy gods, no. But if Bijan Robinson misses time, Tyler Algier is going to be the guy there. We know this. Don't even, please don't even ask me about Cordero Patterson. But also, I think there's enough here, and it's a good enough system for running backs that I think he'll have like flex value in like plus matchups when they're playing like soft run defenses. I think he'll still even have some flex value because the offensive line is good enough, and we know this is a team that's going to run the ball as much as they can.
Yeah, I mean, think about last year. They had in games 3 different guys who looked good running the ball. Now, of course, Bijan will get a lot more carries than Algier ever did, but it's not like Algier will never see the field without an injury. He's still going to come in on, give Bijan a rest. That offensive line is good enough that, he can be effective. So, Yeah. I see Algier worth drafting late, even if you don't have Bijan.
Yeah.
Let's see. Better season this year. Cam Akers, Miles Sanders. I'm gonna lean Cam just because that offense is a little more experienced. We know Sean McVay loves some Cam Akers. Apparently, Frank Reich loves Miles Sanders, talking about him being a 3-down back and all that. Like, we'll see it. Like, pass catching, like he got better, but that's not really Miles Sanders' strong suit. I'm guessing we will actually see Chuba Hubbard somewhat. I'm going to lean Akers, though.
Yeah, I got Akers too. I don't know. Maybe I'm too low on Sanders, but you know, in that Panthers offense with the rookie QB, it's close. They're kind of in that same range for me, but I would go Akers.
It's pretty close, yeah. And there goes Tank. See, I knew it. Just like yesterday when I should have gone more receiver early and I waited too long to get my receiver. And of course, now I'm waiting too long on running back. It's like, never get it right.
All right, so Clayton has this question: redraft tight end premium. Do you want Kelsey and Kyler Murray, or Dak and Pitts? I still got to go Dak and Pitts. Even though I think Kyler Murray is going to be out there more than people think, I don't know if Kyler Murray is going to be fantastic coming off ACL. Like, as far as, if you can have that running production.
Yeah, it's in a tight end premium league. It's hard not to just take Kelsey and run, but yeah, I think I'd rather have Dak and the upside of Pitts.
Yeah.
Have Lance Purdy. Oh, and he has AR in a redraft league. Got a lot of quarterbacks for a redraft league.
Oh,
Wait, is it super flex? Did you say super flex?
I don't know. He didn't say it, but maybe.
Oh yeah, he did say super flex. Okay, I got it.
Well, I'd probably definitely take Dak in super flex.
Yeah, I think I go Dak and Pitts. Yeah, you might be too low on Dak. Look, we talked, last year, even with the injury, what did we say? He threw 20, how many touchdowns?
25 touchdowns. And he missed 5 games. So basically it was like 2 touchdowns a game. So you're talking like a mid 30 touchdown season. And I actually think he's going to throw less interceptions this year because the Mike McCarthy offense is like that West Coast offense. Get the ball out quick, timing throws. Whereas the Kellen Moore offense is like, oh, it's 3rd and 5. Let's throw it 15 yards down the field. You know what I mean? And it's like, that's a recipe for interceptions when the defense knows you're going to throw and then you're chucking it deep down the field. That makes it tough. I think we see a more like a Dak with less INTs this year, and also a Dak who doesn't have to do as much because he can just get the ball to CeeDee Lamb or these guys and let him make plays. So yeah, and look, I think Kyler will be good towards the end of the season, but you're probably going to have to wait a long time for Kyler to be good this year.
Yeah, I think Dak is, I guess, the late round quarterback you want. He's kind of a late guy. He's QB 9 on average. So if you're waiting, I mean, really, it's a great value. I mean, I say that because I took him in this draft, but still, if you are not going with one of those early QBs, yeah, I think Dak will be fine. There's a lot of people who are going to fade him a little bit because the usual, well, I didn't win in the playoffs. Who cares in fantasy, right?
I
And
know.
then it's people will hold that against him. Oh, they got to change quarterbacks. Okay, they're not changing quarterbacks. He's still there.
No.
He's still going to throw
Who are
just
they-
as much.
Who are they changing quarterbacks to? Cooper Rush?
Yeah, exactly. But hey, look, I'm where I live. It's Cowboys country, basically. It's Cowboys fans everywhere, and they love Dak all season until the playoffs, and then they hate. Get this guy out of
Yeah.
here.
I thought it was. I always think it's funny when he goes out there and he throws for like 330 yards, 3 touchdowns, but he also throws like 3 interceptions and a pick 6. And people are like, "Oh man, why do I draft this guy in fantasy?" I'm like, "Didn't he just have like 25 fantasy points? Like, why do you care that he threw 3 interceptions and a pick 6? Unless your league is like, 4 point, you lose 4 points for an interception and 10 points for a pick 6 or something, right? It's like the dude had 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. Why do you care about some interceptions? Who cares? Like, yeah.
Yeah,
Like if you're a Cowboys fan, you care, of course. But if he's just your fantasy,
have
who
to.
cares?
And this is tough for a lot of people. Have to separate fantasy from reality in football. It doesn't matter if they win the game or not. Doesn't matter. Just look at the numbers. Don't watch the highlights. Look at this box score. Who will be second in targets between Cooks and Gallup? Probably. I'm actually gonna lean in. Talking about targets, I'm gonna lean Cooks.
Yeah, targets. I'm going to lean Cooks because I think he'll have more of that. Like I think Gallup will have more of the vertical role, which is probably going to be less targets. So yeah, I think target wise, it'll be Cooks will be number 2.
Yeah, I think it'll be Cooks. Okay. Yes, Clayton, let it be known we do have a believer in the house. MT time. We have a believer at the 12-8. Gonna say, look, that's worth 1 or 2 games of production.
Yeah, we'll see. I feel like this feels like deja vu. Like we did this last year. Like, oh, MT such a good value at this spot, and then yeah.
Last year people were taking him in like round 3, round 4. Like,
I don't think they're taking.
steal.
I don't think they're taking him that high, were they?
Yeah, I remember. Okay,
that's crazy.
We're done. That flew. Okay, so the draft is done, but we're not done. We're going to go over each team and give you our thoughts. Let's start with team 1. Why not? So this would be Tristram went with Jamar Chase at the 1. Can't complain about that. Jalen Hurts, Pollard and Dobbins. Debo at the 5-1. It's a good value. Goddard, Jordan Addison. Man, that feels late for Jordan Addison, the 7-1.
That's where I used to get Jordan Addison all the time. I miss those days. That's good value.
Charbonnet, Bateman, Jamal Williams, Gabe Davis, and Alec Pierce.
All right, so you got Chase and Debo. I mean, I'm not super high on Debo, but that's great value for him. You got Pollard and Dobbins. That's fantastic. You get the Hurts Goddard stack. I like it. You got Addison as your flex. I like most of your bench. Jamal and Gabe, But I mean, Gabe in the 11th, I guess I can't even complain about that. So solid team, definitely.
Yeah. Got good value. That's really what you're hoping for, first and foremost. So, you're good at pretty much every position. So, no complaints here. Very well done. Fabulous. It went with Justin Jefferson and then Pat Mahomes. That's a good start. Josh Jacobs, Terry, Hollywood, Mixon, and the 6-11. Waller, Evans, Penny, Herbert, McKinnon, and then Lazard.
This is an interesting team. There's a lot of guys here. Like I feel like Mixon, Waller, Evans, Penny, McKinnon. Like, man, this is a couple years ago.
Yeah.
They'd be feeling great. I don't know if I mean, I guess it could have gone Jacobs, Mahomes, but I don't know if I'm a fan. Like, I'm not sure about I mean, I get it with Jacobs. Like, if he plays, that's great. But then when if Jacobs holds out and your RB is Mixon, Penny, that's going to be tough. But I don't know. I think I would have liked to seen maybe you go Pollard over Mahomes and then get a wider, like maybe get Devonta Smith there. I think that would have been great. I don't know. I feel like it's just too early, a little too early for Mahomes there. And then Jacobs kind of risky. And then Mixon is your RB2 with, I don't know. This team makes me nervous, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah. I mean, you look and say, well, I got the number one receiver, the number one quarterback. That's all great. But, man, running back, you're living dangerously, my friend, because Jacobs, obviously, we know the risk there, the holdout. Maybe he breaks down. Mixon just wasn't that great. And then you got a backup who is probably going to start the season on the PUP list. Herbert, I just can't get excited about Herbert because I don't know how much he'll even be involved. McKinnon, how much is he going to touch the ball? So, yeah, just the running back situation is altogether a little iffy. Yeah, that's my take. All right, fantasy sleeper went with Bijan at the 3. Nick Chubb, Devontae Smith, Hopkins, Fields, and then took Madison, JSN, Zay Flowers, Ingram, Tank, Rashee Rice, and Zay Jones. This is a mostly young team other than Hopkins.
Yeah, I mean, Bijan and Chubb, that's great. And especially like if you told me you could go Bijan, Chubb, and then get Devonta Smith as your wide receiver 1, I'd be like, that's just phenomenal.
Yeah.
And then you went DeAndre Hopkins, like, oh man, you were like this close to like a perfect start, right? I mean, maybe DeAndre Hopkins lands with the Chiefs and you're feeling good, but man, if he goes to the Titans, you're not going to be feeling very good. Like, there's a lot of wide receivers I would have preferred there. I like the Fields pick. Madison pick's okay. I think just because like you started RB, and again, you did take Hopkins. I would have liked the wide receiver a little bit earlier, but you got JSN and Flowers, so that's nice. I like the Ingram value for sure. Bigsby's good. The last 2 picks are okay. It's just that Hopkins pick. It's like, man, it was this close to like just an incredible start.
Yeah, instead of Hopkins, that's where you could have got Debo or even Mike Williams. I would have preferred. And that's okay. Actually, the pick I think would have made a bigger difference is instead of Madison, could have taken Jordan Addison, right? Different Viking, and then lock down that flex spot with a solid guy and then just get running back depth later. So very close, but this is still a very good team overall.
Yeah, very good team.
And then Ronnie, who, by the way, I'll throw this up because he asked earlier, because I did mention get the endgame swag, got t-shirts. So if you join the Dynasty League, and he's already in it, isn't he in it?
Yeah, he's in our second one, which I think only has like 2 or 3 more spots. So if you want to get in, better hurry.
Right. So backing up to the very beginning from about an hour ago, if you join, if you're a subscriber, flockfantasy.com/endgame, join the flock, get a subscription using our code endgame, and then you get access to all sorts of things. I'm not going to cover it right now, but if you join the Dynasty League, which joining is free if you're a subscriber, that's it. You're gonna get that swag. If you just want other swag in general, Bear Clothing is where we are getting our stuff. So bearclothing.org. I'll try to type the link real here. Lee's asking how to join. I'm gonna leave those comments while I go over the team here. But so Ronnie went with CMC, T. Higgins, Josh Allen, Etienne, TJ Hawkinson, Burks, Johnson, Johnston, Kendre Miller, Romeo Dobbs, Deontay Foreman, and Rashid Shaheed. A lot of balance early in this roster. A lot of youth late overall. What do you think?
Solid running backs, great quarterback, decent tight end. Wide receivers, I think, are just okay. They could be good, right? Like if Burks makes a leap, if Deontay scores some touchdowns, what I think he will, then wide receivers could be good. And if they are, then this team will be very strong because I think Etienne is your RB2 is fine. CMC is your RB1 is obviously great. So if Higgins and then Burks and Deontay make Burks makes a leap and Deontay kind of, bounces back, I guess, then this team could be very strong. But if they don't, then certainly, the wide receiver 2 and the flex is going to be a struggle here probably most of the year, especially like I like Johnston, but he's probably more a late season guy, if anything. Same with Kendre Miller. So I don't know, Not really sure what else you could have done, though. I mean, maybe the Hawkinson pick, especially because tight ends fall so far in this. Like, what if you had gone Mike Williams, Pittman, Lockett, Godwin, Kirk? I don't know if you like if you like one of those guys and then gotten Goddard, let's say, instead. Might like it a little bit more.
Yeah, exactly. I always feel the same when I see like the Hawkinson or Kittle pick in that early range. It's like I would rather have had a receiver. I know some people think Hawkins is going to have this huge year. I don't know. I'm not there. I'd rather have a better receiver. But no, overall, you got some really good players. You have a lot of upside. It's just got to hope that those young receivers. I mean, I guess you could say, well, Deontay Johnson could serve as your wide receiver too, and then
Yeah,
Burks as wide
definitely.
receiver 3 flex upside. So it could turn out totally fine. That just
Yep.
your Clayton today decided to mix it up. Went with Tyreek Hill and then Ramondre, Drake London, Brees Hall, Justin Herbert, Kittle, Pickens, P. Ryan, Ashane, Mooney, Sky Moore, and just to reconfirm that he is in fact a believer, Michael Thomas.
Got the steal of the draft at 12-8. I think overall, I pretty much like this team. I mean, Tyreek and Drake London at wide receiver is good. Stevenson as your RB1 is good. I think that's probably about where I feel comfortable gambling on Brees Hall. So I can't argue with that. Herbert and Kittle, nothing wrong there. Pickens is your flex. I mean, it gives you a lot of upside at the flex, which isn't always a bad thing. And then you got P. Ryan, Ashane, Mooney, Sky Moore, MT. You got some decent depth on your bench. I don't know if he necessarily mixed it up, but I think he did a good job.
Yeah, good balance there. Kind of like you, instead of Brees Hall, I'd still rather have Etienne, maybe even Dobbins. I don't know. At this point, I might be pushing Dobbins over Brees Hall in my rankings. I'm not quite there yet, but I'm pretty close. So other than that, though, I mean, it's very solid. I just said about Kittle and Hawkinson specifically. If Christian Kirk was there instead of Kittle, definitely would have taken him. I don't think you missed out too much by getting Pickens on the way back, so it's okay. I mean, I think it's fine. So good balanced team, though. A lot of good players. All right, and now it is mango time. We got Sean up here with Eckler and Derrick Henry back to back. Keenan Allen, Jerry Jeudy, Aaron Jones, Christian Kirk, Deshaun Watson, Tony, Javante, Juju, Komet as the tight end, and Gus the Bus.
We don't see a lot of Gus Edwards picks. Definitely not afraid of the old guys, that's for sure. Got Eckler, Henry, so that's really good at running back. Keenan, Jeudy, Kirk, so good wide receivers. I like Keenan. I like Kirk. I think Judy's fine there. I mean, he's going to probably be the wide receiver 1 in Denver, so I think that's fine. You got Aaron Jones. I mean, between Jeudy, Jones, and Kirk, you should have a wide receiver 2 and a flex most weeks. I like the value on Deshaun. I like half your bench. I like Tony and Komet, and not really on Javante, Juju, or Gus Bus. Although I know some people are coming around on Gus Bus, like, oh, hey, he's the only guy behind Dobbins, which I guess is true, but he's Gus Edwards, so he's all right.
Yeah, Gus is fine. Of course, I agree. Javante, Juju aren't guys I'm taking, but you didn't reach on them or anything, so it's fine. But yeah, I think pretty good in this league. Getting those 2 running back workhorses is a good thing. Keenan Allen, I think it's fine. I would rather had Amari Cooper too, but
yeah,
it's not too bad. So yeah, I think pretty well done. Other John last night was at the 1. Tonight at the 7, got Jonathan Taylor early. Devontae Adams, got Amari Cooper, Kenneth Walker, Mike Williams, Trevor Lawrence, Pacheco, B-Rob, Cooks, Chig, Chase Brown, and then Jalen Hyatt.
Man, I really like this team. And I'm not even that high on Devontae Adams, but I think where you got him is fine here. So you got Adams, Cooper, and Big Mike. You got just tremendous weekly upside at wide receiver. You got JT and Kenneth Walker, who hopefully between those 2 guys give your team a nice floor. So you got the nice floor from the running backs, the tremendous upside from the wide receivers. You got T-Law. I like your depth here with Pacheco and Brian Robinson, even Brandon Cooks. You got Chig at tight end, who I like. I like Chase Brown. Probably the only pick I don't like is Jalen Hyatt, but I mean, it's your last pick. So I really like this team. Really like this team.
Yeah, I do too, actually. And it's kind of goes to reinforce what I'm saying. When you wait on tight end, you wind up liking your receiver room a lot better. So I think that's pretty solid. All right.
Real quick, we got one of our OGs, Young Money.
Young Money.
Turning 23 tomorrow. What does that feel like? That must feel good. I don't even remember when I turned 23. Happy birthday, Young Money.
Happy birthday, Money. Not just a long time member of the community, also in a couple of our Dynasty leagues. I will say also one of my favorite people to trade with. Like, it's just so smooth. Like, every offer he makes is fair and reasonable. It's like we don't have to think about it. It's like he's like, take this perfectly good deal that will help both of us. Okay.
Exactly. Yes. Happy birthday, man. Have a good day tomorrow.
Go celebrate. All right. Yeah. Yeah. Stay 23. All right.
Yeah. Stay 23 forever.
Now this one makes me feel better because Young Money has literally lived half as long as I have. Brian, thank you for pointing out we're not the oldest people out there.
Oh, happy birthday to you too, Brian. Happy 50th, Brian. Go celebrate.
All right. Let's celebrate your team, which has Cooper Kupp, Jalen Waddle, DJ Moore. I like that. Burrow, Pitts, and then your running backs. I'd say you committed. Look, in this format, I'm gonna just say you went full 0 RB. All right. James Conner, Antonio Gibson, AJ Dillon. Oh, surprised to see that. Cortland Sutton, Algier, Ford, and Spears. So you're all set everywhere. How did the running? Basically, it's like, okay, are these running backs going to pan out? We already talked enough about Conner. I think good value there. Gibson, he's a calculated risk, right? You already know he's a guy who always gets our hopes up and then kind of lets us down, but maybe this is the year. I like the Dillon pick a little bit better. I've talked about that. I think he might surprise some people, but you took the right kind of running back. What else can you say? I'm a little surprised. I don't know. Am I surprised? I know you like Gibson. You pass on Monty. I'll just ask you about this. You pass on Monty and James Cook. Did you not think you would get Gibson on the way back because Keith was drafting right after?
Yes. That's exactly right. I saw Gibson. I'm like, man, this is too early for Gibson. But then I remembered Keith had 2 picks before my next pick. I'm like, there's no way Gibson's making it back to me. So I took him there. Yes, that's 100% my thought. That was exactly what it was. It's Keith will not let Gibson come back to me. I got to take him now or I'm not getting him. Yes.
Yep. No, that's exactly. This is what knowing your league helps, right? We know each other at this point. All right. So, good. Of course. Well done. Rob, another fire take. Didn't take long. Breakout season for Dylan. Top 10 overall. Top 5 to 10. Wow. All right.
I mean, I could certainly make a case for him top 10. I think there's certainly a path for him being the lead back in Green Bay this year.
I will just throw this out real quick because, you did that video on the next or this year's Josh Jacobs. He's the guy who kind of checks maybe not all, but a lot of those boxes. Just saying, it's possible. And it's always somebody you don't expect. Like nobody expects it. Nobody's talking about Dylan. But anyways, all right. And then, by the way, Mr. Cross Examiner, did see your Dynasty question up earlier, but we're going to get to the teams first, and we'll save that for the end. All right. So Keith went with Kelsey first, Olave, Ridley, and Metcalf, and then Sanders, Rashad White, Monty, Elijah Moore, Damian Harris, Jaden Reed, Jalen Warren, and AR. This kind of looks like a U team. So do you like it?
Yeah, I like it. I think Metcalf at that spot as your wide receiver 3 is fine. I like the 3 running backs there. You should have at least 2 serviceable RBs. You got some good players late. I love the Anthony Richardson in the last round pick. I know you probably wanted Tua, but Tua went a lot earlier. So, yeah, very good team here. Very good.
Very well done. We keep saying DK Metcalf is a little early. I think that's good value for him, getting him at the 4-4, about the middle of the 4th round. So, yeah, this is definitely a strong squad. I know he's a believer in Miles Sanders, so see if that works out. All right, King of the World went with CeeDee Lamb, Sun God, Mark Andrews, and Lamar Jackson for the stack. Damian Pierce, Godwin, The Cook brothers went with Jamison Williams, Kamara, Odell Beckham, and Rondell Moore.
This could be the all suspension team, that's for sure.
Sure is. Kamara, Jamison Williams. Yeah. Well,
I love that start. CeeDee Lamb, St. Brown. I even like the Andrews, Lamar, Pierce as your RB1. I was considering Pierce over Pitts until Pierre talked me into going 0 RB. Godwin is your flex. I think is fine. I think between okay there. Obviously, Jameson and Kamara, you're probably not going to have them early on. The bench is definitely risky to me. I mean, Jameson suspended and pretty much a rookie. Kamara suspended and bad, probably suspended. Odell, who knows how healthy he'll be. I do like Rondell. I like that pick. So I like the starting lineup. The bench is a little scary to me.
Yeah. I mean, you don't want to focus just on bench depth because, that's what the waiver wire is for, but they can't all be risky, right? They can't all. You want some guy that you feel pretty safe about, and I don't really feel safe about any of those guys, especially when your RB2 is a guy who does not have a team right now. So if you say, okay, James Cook is my number 2 guy, but yeah, there's just a lot of risk there. Who knows? Maybe it'll pay off, but yeah, it's definitely kind of living on the edge here. All right. I went with Diggs, Garrett Wilson, Najee, Christian Watson, Michael Pittman, Cam Akers, got Dak, got Dotson, even though I probably should have taken a running back there. Then I went Rashawn Johnson, Eli Mitchell, and Pierre Strong with Njoku as the tight end.
Yeah, that's probably my only, this team is great. Diggs and Garrett Wilson, Diggs, Wilson, and then Watson, Pittman at your flex. That's great. Najee and Akers is your running back. Again, I think you should have a nice high floor from those guys with tremendous wide receiver ceilings. You got Dak, you got Njoku. I mean, I know the value is there on Dotson, but yeah, it probably would be nice to have a little more running back depth because Rashawn, Mitchell, and Strong probably aren't guys you want to rely on if you don't have to. They're probably more like guys who need injuries or something. So I think maybe if you'd gone like James Cook or A.J. Dillon or Brian Robinson or even P. Ryan over Dotson, then I'd be like, this team was an absolute smash team, honestly. I think, but even with that, I think this might be one of the best teams tonight, honestly.
Yeah, I don't know why I decided getting my 5th receiver was more important than my 3rd running back, but it's like I look at the tiers and the class, okay, Dotson was the only receiver there that I thought, oh, this is really good value. And after that, I was like, okay, I don't care. But it didn't matter, right? I should just take
yeah. Because Dotson's going to sit on your bench all year, probably.
Exactly. It'll look real nice in that bench spot. All right. And last but never least, Andrea went with A.J. Brown, Barkley, Gibbs, Ayuk, and Lockett, DeAndre Swift, who, I probably was going to take if you didn't, Tua, nice and early, Freiermuth, Mingo, Nico, Chuba Hubbard, and Gallup.
Another team I really like. I mean, A.J. Brown, Ayuk, and Lockett. I don't think her wide receivers quite have the upside of yours. Ayuk and, Lockett, I know we think upside, but I think with JSN there, he might not have quite the upside this year. But I think that's 3 solid wide receivers. You got Barkley and Gibbs. They both have tremendous upside. And you got Swift, who also has tons of upside. He's got tons of risk, but he's got tons of upside. Tua and Freiermuth, I like that. I like your bench pieces. So, again, another team I really like here.
Yeah, no holes here. Lockett maybe isn't the guy I would have picked at the flex. I would have preferred a Christian Kirk or somebody like that. But yeah, the running back talent there is excellent. So maybe you don't flex. Maybe you just flex Swift on a weekly basis. You flip flop. But yeah, this is definitely a good team. Overall, good job, everyone. All right, I do want to answer. We try to answer all our questions if possible. Let's get to Dynasty. One more time, I mentioned the fact that, guys, you joined Dynasty League with us. I'll put that up one more time, but let's answer this question. Dynasty, Mr. Cross Examiner was offered Mac Jones, Penny, and Nico Collins, and a first-round pick for Devontae Smith.
And then he says a counter with Smith for Pittman, Ridley, and a first-round pick. I think if you can get Pittman, Ridley, and a first-round pick for Devonta Smith, I'll take that.
That would be a haul. That would be a haul.
That
That's a
first
very big
trade. No, I
difference
mean,
between
I'm
Mac
assuming
Jones
it's
and Rashad
not
Penny.
super flex. So that first trade that first trade's kind of like, I mean, I do like Nico, but come on, he's all hype right now, right? We got to see it first. Like that first trade is kind of like, hey, here's a bunch of like quantity for your quality. I never want to take those kind of trades. You never want to be giving up the quality for the quantity. But on the second trade, you're getting Pittman, who's still, whether you like him or not this year, he's still 26 years old. He's still very young. You're getting Ridley. You're getting a first round pick. That's quality right there. So I would take that second one.
Yeah, that first one exactly. It's like, here are a bunch of guys on my bench and a first round pick for your stud receiver. So that's an easy no. Man, if you can pull off that second, I doubt he'll accept it because you're getting two good receivers and a first rounder. It would be a good counter for you, but look, it's fine if you think that's too much. He's saying not super flex. Yeah, so Mac Jones really has not much value. So
one QB lead, it's just
yeah. I mean, look, that counter that you put out there is a lot. It's a big ask. Like you probably won't accept it, but that's okay because then now you meet in the middle. So see what you can get. And then I guess we have to answer this just because. Saying thank you, Dan. Welcome back, Dan. Keeper league, need to choose two of these four backs, non-PPR.
Okay.
Dobbins, Brees, Etienne, and Walker. Man, that is.
I mean, if it's just straight keeper, meaning you just every year you just keep them, I'm definitely keeping Brees. Now I know Brees might not be that good this year, but you're gonna want Brees next season for sure. Like you're going to be upset if you don't have Brees next year because we're going to see full Brees next year. Now it gets tough here. Now it gets tough for the second one.
Remember, this is non-PPR, which is why even though Brees has a lot more value in PPR leagues, I agree, the youth and the talent, you have to keep Brees. But I would say this, since it's non-PPR, I would probably be between Dobbins and Walker, and over at the end.
Yeah, who did you pick?
I didn't. I said it's either Dobbins or Walker.
Yeah, that's where I'm at too.
Man. Walker's younger.
Yeah, I mean, I almost want to say Walker for the age, but it's not like Dobbins is old. Like none of these guys are old, so.
Right.
Man, that one's really tough. Really tough.
There's not a bad choice here. I think
no, it really isn't.
I would still probably go Walker personally. Age and lack of
man, this is really tough. I'm not gonna lie, I'm really on the fence here because I do feel like Dobbins could actually have a better year than Kenneth Walker this year.
Yeah, maybe.
But Kenneth Walker is like 2 years younger, I think. So, yeah, that one's tough, Dan. I don't know. It's between those two guys. If you maybe since you're keeping Brees, which I think you've got to keep Brees, but maybe since you're keeping Brees and we don't expect Brees to be great this year, or at least not great till maybe the very end of the year, that might sway me to go Dobbins. So I at least have one running back this year who I feel really good about, can give me good production. I know you like Walker more than I do, so maybe that, you don't mind that as much. That's probably where my head would be at. But I would be totally fine if you kept Walker too. He is younger. And if Charbonnet really doesn't have much of a role, you're going to be very happy you kept Walker. So that's right. I would probably go Brees and Dobbins again just because I want that Dobbins production this year since I don't expect to get a whole lot from Brees.
Yeah, but honestly, none of these would be bad picks. And this is different because it's a keeper league, not a dynasty league. So, you're keeping from year to year. Again, for Brees, I said earlier, I'm real close to pushing Dobbins over Brees in my redraft rankings. But you want to be able to keep him again next year. I would still keep Brees on your roster. And then between Dobbins and Walker, yeah, it's really close. I'm still in a keeper league, going to give the edge to Walker, but it's close.
Yes, it is.
All right. So that does it. People asking about the Dynasty League. let's put up that graphic one more time, guys. It's flockfantasy.com/endgame. And so how you join is just by going to that. If you haven't already subscribed, 30% off right now. So if you do join, become a member there and subscribe, you get access to all of that. Everything you see there, all that's included. And that also does include access to these mock drafts that we do live every week with you. You can get your spot nice and early, pick where you want to, and be guaranteed to actually be able to draft, and don't say, oh, I joined too late. But then as soon as you do, that's it. Get access to that Dynasty League where you can compete with us and get all the free stuff and a chance
Yeah,
to
I'll
win
just
the
say
whole
if you do, I'll say if you do join and you want to get in the Dynasty League, like I said, I think there's only 2 or 3 spots left. After you join, if you decide to do it, after you join flockfantasy.com/endgame, you'll have access to the Flock server Discord, not our Endgame Discord. It's a separate Discord.
Right.
Go in there. Oh, go on either Discord. It doesn't matter. Just message me directly on Discord. My name is Chris Mangano on there. You should have no problem finding me. Message me directly and say, hey, I just signed up on Flock, and I will give you the link to the Dynasty League.
There you go. And for those asking, as someone mentioned earlier, redraft leagues, we'll get there. We're not there yet.
They're coming.
We'll wait until we're maybe August, a little bit closer, but we are going to definitely open up a lot of redraft leagues where you can also compete with us and other in-game community members. We'll have a whole bunch of different options. But until then, let's keep mocking. We'll see you guys again next week. Hopefully we'll see a lot of you guys in the Discord on the Flock, and we'll see you for sure live again. Check out our videos dropping the next few days. I think you're gonna be interested in seeing what comes out.